founded after 9/11 because they recognized that some people did something and that all of us were starting to lose access to our civil liberties.
And I consider Congresswoman Omar, Congresswoman Ocasio-Cortez, Congresswoman Tlaib, Congresswoman Presley, I think is her name. They call themselves the Squad. I consider them to be fools.
They've built an entire brand around trashing America. And this is the moment someone finally says it to their faces. John Kennedy isn't just addressing one comment or one headline. He's calling out the political machine known as the Squad. That includes names like Ilhan Omar and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, lawmakers who've made a career out of painting America as fundamentally racist, corrupt, and oppressive. Every speech, every interview, every viral moment feeds the same narrative. This country is the problem. If America is irredeemable, why fight so hard to lead it? If the system is evil, why cling to power inside it? That's the tension you're about to see. Watch the clip carefully. Then we'll break down why this hit so hard, and why they don't want this question asked. Let's get into it.
Frankly, I don't know why the president felt the need to tweet on this subject at all. You know, when you argue with a fool, you just prove there are two. And I consider Congresswoman Omar, Congresswoman Ocasio-Cortez, Congresswoman Tlaib, Congresswoman Presley, I think is her name. They call themselves the Squad. I consider them to be fools. They hate America. They think America was wicked in its origins, and it's even more wicked today. They ought to be thanking America instead of calling America evil and wicked and racist. But this is America, and they have the right to their opinion. But I don't like to see the president even dignify their point of view. Besides that, I think that the Squad, as they call themselves, they are destroying the Democratic Party. You know, when your opponent is screwing up, don't interrupt him. Let him go. I mean, just looking at this from a political standpoint, if I didn't know better, I would think the members of the Squad were GOP plants. I mean, they think that illegal immigration, socialism, higher taxes, abortion are all moral goods. They think America, Israel, free enterprise are moral bads. That's not what most Americans believe. And that's kind of where I am on the subject. The president has explained his position. He has said, look, here's what I meant. If you're not happy.
I'm in a town where we have a lot of people who are refugees who have come, some from Somalia, some from Bosnia. I've never heard one of them say that America's a terrible place or be unappreciative of our country. Most of them are thankful. I've met people who have come here from behind the Iron Curtain that got away from communism. They're some of the best Americans we have because they really appreciate how great our country is. And then I hear Representative Omar say, oh, America's a terrible place. I'd love there to be justice, and there's no justice here. It's like, well, she came here and we fed her, we clothed her, she got welfare, she got school, she got health care, and then lo and behold, she has the honor of actually winning a seat in Congress, and she says we're a terrible country. I think that's about as ungrateful as you can get. And so while I'm not saying we forcibly send her anywhere, I'm willing to contribute to buy her a ticket to go visit Somalia, and I think she could look and maybe learn a little bit about the disaster that is Somalia, that has no capitalism, has no God-given rights guaranteed in a constitution, and has about 7 different tribes that have been fighting each other for the last 40 years. And then maybe after she's visited Somalia for a while, she might come back and appreciate America.
Omar laughed that Americans speak of Al-Qaeda in a menacing tone and remarked that you don't say America with this intensity. You say Al Qaeda makes you proud. Al Qaeda makes you proud. You don't speak that way about America. And at a press conference just this week, when asked whether she supported Al Qaeda, that's our enemy. That's our enemy. They are a very serious problem that we take care of, but they always seem to come along somewhere. She refused to answer. She didn't want to give an answer to that question. Omar blamed the United States for the crisis in Venezuela. I mean, think of that one. And she looks down with contempt on the hard-working Americans, saying that ignorance is pervasive in many parts of this country. And obviously and importantly, Omar has a history of launching vicious anti-Semitic screeds.
This is what happens when a calm Republican forces the left to answer the one question they can't dodge. John Kennedy didn't yell. He didn't insult. He did something far more lethal. He cornered the argument. Ilhan Omar has built her political identity around condemning America, its past, its systems, its moral character. That's the applause line. That's the activist fuel. But Kennedy cut through the performance. If America is fundamentally oppressive, if it's beyond saving, if it's nothing but injustice, then why are you fighting to run it? Why demand authority inside a system you describe as corrupt to the core? You can't brand the country as evil while campaigning to control it. That's not reform. That's contradiction. And this is where the left panics, because once the emotion is stripped away, once the slogans are removed, you're left with a brutal yes or no question. Is this country worth defending or not? Kennedy didn't touch identity politics. He didn't take the bait. He stayed on ideas, loyalty, gratitude, civic responsibility. And that's what made it devastating. The media will spin it. They'll focus on tone. But they won't replay the logic step by step. Because logic doesn't bend to narrative. Kennedy's calm, Southern delivery isn't softness, it's strategy. He asks simple questions that expose unstable foundations, and when there's no clear answer, voters notice. Working Americans don't hate their country. They see its flaws, but they also see its opportunity. They don't want leaders who sound like critics from the outside while holding power on the inside. This moment wasn't about personality. It was about principle. If you constantly describe America as a moral failure, why should Americans trust you with its future? Kennedy didn't scream. He forced clarity, and clarity shattered the illusion. If you're tired of the noise and want real breakdowns that expose the double standards, subscribe, like, and stick around.